For centuries, history's greatest empires were shaped not just by the battles they won, but by the routes they controlled. The Silk Road and the vast maritime networks of the Indian Ocean shaped economies and destinies, determining which civilizations flourished and which disappeared into history. Today, that ancient contest has returned in a modern form, with global influence once again being fought over through the world's most strategic trade arteries. For over a decade, China's Belt and Road Initiative has dominated this space, investing more than $1 trillion into ports, railways, and energy networks across continents, making it the most ambitious attempt to reshape global connectivity in modern times. But a formidable rival is emerging. In 2023, a surprise G20 announcement revealed a bold new economic corridor promising faster trade, cleaner energy, and advanced digital connectivity to directly challenge China's expanding influence. Could this become the most transformative trade route of the 21st century? Or simply the first move in a much larger geopolitical contest now unfolding worldwide? Today, let's delve into the rise of the $100 billion India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor. Don't forget to click on that subscribe button and like this video, as it's the best way to support this channel. By the early 2020s, the global economy had become increasingly dependent on a limited number of trade routes and infrastructure networks. China's Belt and Road Initiative, launched in 2013, poured hundreds of billions into ports, railways, highways, and industrial zones across Asia, Africa, and Europe. Its unmatched scale made it the primary source of infrastructure financing for many developing nations, but it also raised concerns in the West and parts of Asia about debt risks, political leverage, and China's growing control over strategic maritime choke points. Dependence on China-led corridors became a geopolitical vulnerability. At the same time, Europe experienced severe supply chain shocks. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed weaknesses in global logistics. The Russia-Ukraine conflict highlighted reliance on limited energy and trade routes, and the 2021 Suez Canal blockage showed how easily a single disruption could halt global commerce. Diversification became essential across goods, energy, technology, and data. Meanwhile, the Middle East was undergoing a major economic transformation. Saudi Arabia and the UAE were rapidly diversifying into logistics, renewable energy, finance, and advanced manufacturing. And both nations sought deeper ties with India and Europe. India, rising as a manufacturing hub, wanted faster access to Western markets and less reliance on China-centric supply chains. These converging pressures created ideal conditions for a new, stable, strategically balanced transcontinental corridor. The groundwork for a new transcontinental corridor began quietly in 2021 through diplomatic discussions among India, the United States, the European Union, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. During this period, the Biden administration launched the Partnership for Global Infrastructure and Investment, a Western response to China's Belt and Road Initiative aimed at offering transparent, sustainable financing for major infrastructure projects worldwide. India joined early, seeing an opportunity to align its economic rise with broader geopolitical goals. Meanwhile, Saudi Arabia and the UAE were exploring new trade routes linking Asia, the Middle East, and Europe, positioning their economies at the heart of future global commerce. These parallel efforts converged ahead of the 2023 G20 summit in New Delhi, where officials negotiated the framework and funding structure of this proposed corridor. The initiative was formally unveiled during the summit as the India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor, or IMEC, backed by major powers including India, the USA, the EU, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Israel. At its core, IMEC is designed as a sea-rail-sea corridor with two major segments: the East Corridor, which links India's west coast ports to the UAE and Saudi Arabia, and the North Corridor, which continues by rail through Saudi Arabia and Jordan into Israel, before connecting to European ports via the Mediterranean Sea. Integrating ports, high-capacity rail, energy pipelines, digital cables, and advanced logistics systems, IMEC functions as a complete economic ecosystem. If realized, it could cut India-Europe transit times by up to 40%, lower emissions, reshape trade flows, and establish a diversified corridor driven by a coalition rather than a single dominant power. IMEC is not a single project, but a network of interconnected infrastructure systems stretching thousands of kilometers, each designed to enable faster, cleaner, and more resilient trade. Central to this vision is a new freight rail network running across the Arabian Peninsula. This rail spine will link major logistics hubs in the UAE with Saudi Arabia's inland and coastal centers before continuing north through Jordan and Israel. Built for high-capacity container traffic, it aims to replace a slow maritime leg with a fast, predictable rail link, significantly reducing transit times across the Gulf. The engineering challenge extends beyond laying tracks to standardizing rail systems, aligning customs procedures, and integrating terminals directly with key ports on both ends. Port expansions form another critical pillar. India's west coast ports, such as Mundra and Nhava Sheva, will play a major role in feeding the corridor. On the Gulf side, Dubai's Jebel Ali and Saudi Arabia's King Abdulaziz port will serve as key receiving hubs, while Israel's port of Haifa becomes the Mediterranean connection to Europe. These ports will depend on advanced automation, digital cargo tracking, and high-efficiency logistics systems to maintain smooth operations. Energy infrastructure adds a transformative dimension. IMEC includes plans for a green hydrogen pipeline linking the Gulf to Europe. The Middle East, with vast solar resources and industrial capacity, aims to become a major producer of green hydrogen, while Europe seeks clean fuel for its energy transition. If realized, this pipeline network could become one of the most important clean energy corridors of the 21st century, requiring advanced engineering, cross-border regulatory alignment, and long-term political cooperation. A digital corridor will run alongside the physical network. Fiber optic cables connecting India, the Middle East, and Europe will strengthen digital sovereignty and secure data flows, while proposed electricity interconnections between Middle Eastern and European grids could expand renewable energy exchange. Together, these components create a megaproject that unites logistics, energy security, and digital systems, built not only for today's trade, but for the demands of the future. Because IMEC spans multiple national projects under one framework, and with major construction expected through the 2030s and full integration likely extending into the 2040s, its total cost is difficult to pinpoint. Initial estimates place the first phase at $20 to $25 billion, while long-term expansions could push the total well above $100 billion. Funding is expected from national budgets, sovereign wealth funds, private investors, and PGII-aligned institutions. Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund and major UAE infrastructure investors will likely play leading roles, with the EU supporting rail, port, and digital upgrades on its side of the corridor. Economically, IMEC offers significant benefits. By shifting part of the India-Europe journey onto rail, transit times could drop from 35 to 40 days to roughly 22 days. A major advantage for industries dependent on tight inventory cycles and market responsiveness. India's manufacturing sector gains faster access to European supply chains, while the Gulf strengthens its position as a global logistics and clean energy hub. Europe benefits from new access points that reduce dependence on single choke points and China-centric routes. The corridor also delivers environmental advantages. Rail produces fewer emissions than maritime transport over comparable distances, and the hydrogen pipeline component positions IMEC as a future clean energy artery. Over time, the corridor could stimulate new industrial clusters, boost trade volumes, and generate economic growth across 3 continents. IMEC is widely viewed as the most coordinated attempt yet to offer a credible alternative to China's Belt and Road Initiative. While BRI is vast and long established, IMEC challenges it by presenting a fundamentally different model. BRI is China-centered. China provides the financing, oversees construction, and gains long-term strategic leverage through control of ports, railways, and supply chains. IMEC, by contrast, is explicitly multilateral, operating as a partnership of equals built on transparent financing, shared governance, and diversified benefits, an approach appealing to countries wary of over-reliance on China. China's concern comes not only from the competition itself, but from where it is emerging. After years of expanding its influence in the Middle East through port investments and energy deals, China now sees India, the Gulf, and Europe forming a new east-west corridor that bypasses Chinese routes entirely. Even a modest shift of India-Europe trade away from BRI-linked infrastructure weakens China's connectivity advantage. IMEC also strengthens India's geopolitical position, placing it in a role China once dominated. Ultimately, IMEC marks a new phase in the contest over global connectivity, one where China is no longer the uncontested architect of transcontinental infrastructure. IMEC faces significant challenges that could slow or reshape its development. The most serious is geopolitical instability, as key segments pass through regions long affected by tension, particularly Israel and its neighbors. The 2023-24 Gaza conflict highlighted how quickly volatility can threaten major infrastructure plans. Regulatory and technical harmonization is another major obstacle. Multiple countries must align customs processes, inspection systems, and rail standards to avoid bottlenecks. While coordinating cross-border pipelines, digital networks, and rail operations adds further complexity. Funding poses additional risks. Although Gulf states have deep resources, Europe and the US face budget pressures, and India must balance IMEC spending with domestic priorities. Long timelines mean future governments may shift focus. Competition from China will persist, as China may offer counter-incentives or strengthen alternative routes to dilute IMEC's appeal. Looking ahead, IMEC is still in its formative phase, but its potential is significant. If successfully implemented, parts of the corridor could operate within the next decade, giving India faster access to Europe, elevating the Gulf as a logistics and energy hub, and strengthening Europe's supply chain resilience. Its ultimate success depends on regional stability and sustained cooperation.